I am a dancer, that is to say, a conduit.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic the Hedgehog replay podcast for fans of all shapes and sizes. I am Devin, your host, joined as always by Lauren and Bruce. Lauren, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Glad to be here.
Good to hear it. Bruce, how do you feel about Sonic the Hedgehog CD, our game for tonight?
It's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of played through it on autopilot though, so I'm a little worried I'm not gonna have a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. When I played it recently, seems like pretty rubbish. Casual playthrough, in my opinion. But a lot more depth under the surface.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I definitely get that.
Well, so the primary core mechanic of this game, I guess this game has slightly more of a story than the others. The story of this game is that every year, I don't know, actually I didn't read it, but every once in a while, a place called Little Planet, which is I guess one of the moons orbiting Sonic's world, it appears over Never Lake, which is a location that we've never heard of up to this point. But Dr. Eggman Eggbotnik Man decides to chain it to the Earth and use its very powerful time-based rocks called the Time Stones to wreak havoc on the planet and mechanize it to his wills. And so Sonic runs up the chain to stop him. And no, that's it. That's the whole thing. But the point is, This game involves time travel, where you run past a sign that says past or future on it, and after you run for a while, it takes you to an alternate version of whatever stage you're in, and the main way to get anything out of this game's levels is to go to the past, hunt for the robot generator, and destroy it to create a good future. And I say that because if you don't do that and you just go for, like, the normal ending, this game is short.
Yeah, that was the problem. I think that was my main problem with it, is I didn't bother going for a specific ending. So I just went through the stages in whatever way and went to whatever version of the stages. And I don't know, it felt kind of, I don't want to say like a hollow experience, because it didn't. It was a fun experience, but it felt like it was missing something, I guess is the best way I could put it.
Hollow is actually exactly the way I would call my experience. I played this game, I don't know, a few years ago, and 100% the thing, when experienced everything, it was a grand old time. I played it just recently, though, and just did a casual playthrough, because I'm not collecting the Time Stones or getting the generators this time. And I was like, I felt like CD was better than this, man.
Yeah, I get that, because I remember playing through most of the game probably not long after the PC version came out, and I remember really enjoying it and thinking, wow, there's a lot to this game. And then I think my playthrough last week was like maybe an hour and a half long.
That's why I say that you gotta do... that's why I specifically position generators as the proper method of enjoying this game. I never play this game without doing generators, except in the case of this podcast where I did one playthrough where I get generators and then 2 playthroughs where I don't, because I am a freak for this game. I think that every criticism you guys are leveling at the level design itself, because these levels, they are vertically wide, but they don't have a lot of things stopping you from just running along the bottom of them and getting to the goal. Yeah. Which is one of the things about this game, is that it has no bottomless pits.
I loved that.
It has one bottomless pit.
One bottomless pit, and
it has one bottomless pit that's at the very end, and it hits you like a truck.
Yeah, I mean, it took me like, God, how many tries? Like, probably 10 tries to get through that section of the final stage.
Yeah, it was, it's a mean one.
Yeah, the lack of bottomless stages, I would say, is nothing but a good thing.
Yeah, I think you can make a stage interesting without that. It's just this game mostly doesn't do that. It relies on you taking the initiative yourself. And I think when you do that, it becomes a fun enough challenge, because, in the original version of the game, it was kind of a pain, because once you hit the past or future signs, you have to run at top speed for a long-ass time to get the time travel to work. And thankfully for us, or at least for me and Bruce, I don't know what Lauren did. I guess if he wasn't bothering with generators or time stones, then it doesn't matter. But me and Bruce used a mod for the PC version that makes it way easier to time travel. And I think the game is way better for it. But I always do generators when I can. A, because I don't want my playthroughs to be shallow and kind of boring, and B, because I like to take in the sights and sounds of these levels.
That's fair. I mean, expanding upon the sounds of the levels, the Japanese soundtrack is amazing.
It is something else.
The US was pretty good too.
Like I'm actually listening to it right now, and it is solid.
I love the soundtrack to this game because it makes use of leitmotifs. Just out of necessity, since they're different versions of the level themes, but the ways that it uses different pieces of the songs to construct entirely different musical atmosphere is impressive.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I will say, as I just said a moment ago, I like the US soundtrack too. I don't get why they didn't redo the past themes, though. It's because it's very jarring.
I actually know why that is, and it's because the past themes all use the Genesis hardware to play them to save space, because in the original Mega CD release of this game, because this was not a simple Genesis game, this was released for Sega's FMV Mega CD add-on, but in the original release, all of the past themes, they couldn't fit the Redbook CD quality audio tracks on them. I don't know, Redbook, but CD quality at least. They couldn't fit them all on, so they used the Genesis hardware to play the songs, which is why they can't be replaced in the US release, and also why they sound a little bit crunchier. But I also think that it's genius, because you use the more deprecated hardware to play the past themes, which makes them sound older. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but it's very fun.
It's probably just a coincidence, but it's a cool coincidence.
And I do like the American soundtrack to this game. I like the intro theme, You Can Do Anything, but I actually probably prefer Sonic Boom, the American intro theme.
Oh yeah.
I would have to say that, yeah.
Yeah, when I played the game, of course I played with the Japanese soundtrack, but I specifically went to YouTube to listen to Sonic Boom before playing the game.
Yeah, and maybe if the Japanese theme wasn't saying over and over, I don't know what that's supposed to sound like, if that's really what it's supposed to be. The song's in English, I don't know.
Right.
But in any case, yeah, no, both soundtracks are good, and all of the level visuals are more detailed than the Genesis games and have that very surreal quality to them, especially the future stages.
I'm trying to remember if I even ended up playing any of the future stages.
Well, you didn't see any of the good futures, because I don't think you got generators twice in a single level, if at all.
I don't remember.
Yeah, the good futures are always happy, jumpy, everything is good and grand. The weird thing, I get why they did this, because it's probably not as easy. I assume they'd have to change the level layout in some degree because they're like hazards or whatever. But it's always jarring, and I'm like, oh, it's the good future. Yeah, oh, I got crushed and died. Like, there aren't enemies, but you can still die.
Well, actually, that's an interesting difference. That's like actually kind of hard to notice sometimes. Is that depending on which version of the level you go to, the geometry and the layouts do change a little bit, not very much.
Oh, really?
But yeah, and there's little interesting differences. There are different, just minor details in the backgrounds, obviously, but also in like the enemies. Like some of them will be missing pieces in the bad future because they're all falling apart.
Oh yeah, I did know that. That's true.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And one thing, this is something like weirdly, this is a thematic thing that I don't think is the most important, but both the good future and the bad future are still technological futures. They're just positive and negative implementations of technology in nature.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Which is almost an interesting commentary on things in real life, even if it might not have been on purpose. Sonic has always had vague environmental streaks to it. Yeah,
I was gonna say, the Sonic games are very much kind of pro-environmentalism.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of meant to say this earlier, but so if we're talking about the different futures, when I first heard of this game, before playing it, I was like, "What, a Sonic game that has time travel? That's just like, what?" And it's a really early one too. Like, how in the world? And
Do you mean that just as a matter of, like, Sonic 06 uses time travel and that game is crazy?
I think that was before I knew about how much of a mess Sonic 06 was. For the reason of time travel. Like, I knew it was a bad game, but I didn't know that how convoluted the plot was. No, I just meant it's a platformer. You run through levels. I don't get how time travel works in that. I guess it works as a story piece. See, like, Sonic Generations, but you don't, like, actively time travel around. And it is an interesting execution. It's probably better with the mod you two played with. I just think it's a weird choice to make it so difficult to time travel. And you can, like, if you miss it, you miss it, and you just go on. Because the ideas there are so cool. You know, you've even got some light. I mean, that's the whole point. You've got light changing the future, right? And so you can go to two different futures, but it doesn't feel very free at all. You know, I feel like if you're going to use time travel as an element, use it more extensively. It feels like, no, you got to very precisely go here, go to the past, fix it, and then you can go to the future if you want. But the weird thing is, it's not even necessary.
No, you never need to go in the future in this game.
And so it feels a little underdeveloped. And yet, what they did for the different time periods is on point. Like with the aesthetic and the music and all that, even though it's barely utilized, it feels like.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that one. I think that it was a big experiment, and I think that this is, you know, probably that they built this game because this game started life as an enhanced port of Sonic 1. But as it developed, you know, it was developed alongside Sonic 2, and as that game's development totally changed the scope of that game, this game probably got some of its DNA, since Sonic 2 was about time travel initially. And since Sonic 2, I am led to assume that in Sonic 2 it was more of a plot device, you know, since Wood Zone would become Metropolis Zone. I don't think they were two level layouts stacked on top of each other like in this game. It's probably that they went to this to have time travel in the game without it being nearly as much of an effort. You know, to have each separate time zone have its own act, that is to say. If I were to remake this game, that is what I would do, is that I would have the future and past signs be the level exits, and then each act would represent, you know, one time period.
That's kind of was my thought process if I guess I were to remake the game.
Yeah.
Yes, I can completely understand the why they did it, because it's hard to implement time travel. But I always got thrown off when I was first playing the game. I'm like, oh, you can change time zones. Oh, I'm in the past. Oh, okay, end the level. Now I'm in the present again. What? I thought it'd be really cool if the time period carried between levels.
Yeah, Bruce said something about that to me too.
Yeah, I mentioned while I was playing the game that I felt like if you go to the past or future versions of a level during a level and when you finish the level in those variants, you should move on to the past or future version of the level instead of going back to the present.
Yeah, and I think there are mod loader codes to keep you in one specific point, but you can't really travel between them. And I do get that, because then that would make finding the generators much less cumbersome, and it is cumbersome. I say that it adds to the gameplay, and it does, but it is a chore that you have to do.
I will say, it doesn't make much difference. It's purely aesthetic, but I do like that they do utilize sort of switching time zones between levels instead of just putting you back in that. In the third act, it always sends you to the future. I think that's really neat. It's like, this is what you've done. This is the future you've created.
Yes.
Especially impactful with a lot of the future themes are like, okay, yeah, it sounds kind of bad, but two of them in particular hit me extra like, oh, this sounds horrible. Both the Japanese Palm Tree Panic, they do this like distorted effect on the children cheering, and I'm like,
yes,
what is this? Are these like roboticized children with like garbled voice chips? Like, it sounds horrific, man. And then Metallic Madness, where Eggman is like, Sonic Dead or Alive is mine, and I'm like, are you serious?
He's like, I guess both present and future Metallic Madness have Robotnik kind of rapping the lyrics over it a little bit. I don't know if it's an actual rap or if it's just dialogue, because you can't hear it that well. In Mania, they turn it into an actual rap. Yeah, but I love the Bad Futures tracks to this game, because it's, they set the mood so well, where you have the normal timeline, which is like, pretty neutral as just Sonic music. Maybe Palm Tree Panic is a little too cheerful, because it has cheering children. But then you have, the past music where it's like, it's missing instruments, it's kind of built with, the Genesis sound chip, as I said, and it's got this sort of, especially in Collision Chaos, it's got this, like, caveman feel to it. And then you have the good future themes, which are these ethereal kind of, you did it, they're triumphant. But then you have the bad future themes, which is just, you fucked up, Sonic. And it feels great, and they're always the biggest departure from the original song, because Past, Present, and Good Future, Palm Tree Panic all carry the same melody. Bad Future doesn't carry that thing at all. That thing is like a rave track, which is awesome, but it seems like this is, maybe even if you do go for generators, this is like a style over substance Sonic game, is how I would describe it a little bit.
Yeah.
I would have to agree. I had a grand old time 100%ing the game without the mod that you used, because I loved seeing all the environments and stuff. It was pain, because you have to be so careful. Literally, I'm just like, okay, I'll watch the route on the guy. You gotta make this jump just right. Oh, I missed it. I blammed into a wall. Now I have to restart the whole level because I can't time
travel. Yeah, you lose
now.
the sign, which is what the mod changes. Is A, you don't have to run as far. B, you don't immediately do it as you're running at top speed. You have to do a spin dash or a peel out. And C, you don't lose the sign, yeah. And yeah, it's a chore actually getting to the past. And that's, again, it's part of the challenge. And they do have places in the levels set up for it. But then, if you get a past sign and you accidentally hit a future sign, you've just wasted it because they don't respawn.
Yeah.
I will say, though, it's interesting that I kind of like this, but I also kind of don't understand it. I like having two different ways to get the true ending, because it adds a little more variety. But Absolutely. It's weird because the time stones are so boring. It's like you go in a special stage, if you have 50 rings, you get your time stone in this stupid special stage with really early, bad, not 3D graphics.
Yeah.
The not mode 7.
And then you unlock the true ending, versus the generators just really feel like you earn it. I would have liked both to feel that way, but they don't.
I think that you're right, and that the special stages are a little shallow. I think UFO as a special stage is okay. I think it's better than some, but it's not my favorite. And the weird pseudo Mode 7 graphics where everything is just painted on the floor does make it a little confusing to figure out what's actually going on. But I also think that this game has a great approach in that you can either go out of your way to get 50 rings and do our alternate gameplay style to get the good ending, or you can do the gameplay style that you were doing before, just more of it. And I would be so much happier if that were something that Sonic 1, 2, and 3 implemented. Or Heroes.
I will say, I guess I hadn't thought that... Does it work if you mix and match? Because I've never done that. I've always just...
No, I don't think it... I mean, if you do all of the time stones and the generators, it works, but...
Okay. So you can't get the good future with the generators in one stage and then get the good future with... Oh, wait, because
getting a time stone does not guarantee a good future in a certain stage. It is only if you have all of them, it guarantees them in all of them retroactively.
That's right. Okay, I forgot that. So there's no point to getting the generators with the stones then.
No, and I always ignore the special stages. I like the way they look. I like the backgrounds in some of them, which are just bizarre and look kind of like Final Fantasy maps for some of them. Or maybe I'm thinking not Final Fantasy, but Chrono Trigger. With, like, the floating islands. Yeah. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Yeah, so... The style over substance thing, that also extends to... This game has animated FMV cutscenes at the beginning and ending.
Oh my gosh.
I really like them.
They are
Oh,
pretty cool.
beautiful, yes.
Everybody loves this version of Sonic, which we've gone through several different names for this design for Sonic. People just called it, Anime Sonic or Intro Sonic at the start, or like CD Sonic, and then for a long time they were calling it Toei Sonic. But that was not strictly accurate because Toei was just the owners of the studio that did the intro. The studio that did the intro is Studio Junio, which is headed by Hisashi Iguchi, who is responsible for most of the most awesome-looking fights in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
That explains a lot.
Not most of them, but a lot of them. So, I actually have a list here. So, Yamcha versus Kami when he's possessing that guy in the tournament. He did that one, and he did that cool, shot of Yamcha, slinging the energy ball around with the crazy camera movements. He drew Piccolo saving Gohan from Nappa's attack, sacrificing himself, and it gets, black and white and does the cool effects there. Most of the Raccoon fight he did with Goku beating the shit out of him, I think. Or no, with him beating the shit out of Gohan and Vegeta. And, and his work on this intro is just crazy. Sonic just snaps between exaggerated keyframes, and it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
It would be 15 years before we'd get another intro to a Sonic game that looked that cool with Unleashed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the Unleashed intro. That's true.
I do have notes for the different stages in this game, but I'm noticing that they don't refer to most of the stage gimmicks. They just say, Palm Tree Panic looks like this. I love the music.
My notes are pretty light.
Same.
Yeah, the stages all sort of... Well, they all sort of play similarly, it feels like. Well, because they're all to the same end. I mean, I feel like it would be that way, except for the later ones become more annoying. Even if you're going for, generators. It's always just you got to go to the particular route, just find the route, go through.
It's hold right and jump zone.
Except Wacky Workbench. Wacky Workbench is wacky.
Well, it's that they're all laid out very similarly. They're all kind of big rectangles, where if you look at, Marble Garden Zone in Sonic 3, that is a zone that starts with you going way down a whole bunch of slopes, and then, kind of climbing back up as the rest of the level progresses. Whereas, Hydro City Zone is much more flat, and you're mostly just trying to get verticality to stay out of the water. Whereas with these levels... whether you have verticality or not, that only chooses how fast you complete the stage, not the flow of the level.
Yeah.
My only real note on Palm Tree Panic is that Amy jumps out and hugs you in it, which is just to say this is the first game with Amy in it, and she doesn't open her mouth, so I don't mind her that much.
She's just kind of there.
She's really just a plot device.
I wouldn't blink twice if I didn't know what she did later in the series.
I mean, I do like Amy's classic design. I think that she looks cuter in the classic games than she does most of the modern stuff. I'm just not into the current design, I guess, but...
Yeah, I like that classic design. That's good.
I can agree with that.
I do have one note on Palm Tree, which is... on the boss, ever since I discovered you can just be on the right side and destroy him in 2 seconds, I always do that, and it's hilarious.
The bosses of this game are bizarre. I think we'll get to each one as it comes to it, but some of them are pitiful, others are annoying, but none of them feel traditional.
Yeah, actually, I really like pretty much all the bosses for that reason in this game. I think they went a little wild.
Yeah.
They got real weird with it.
I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
Collision Chaos is a strange level. Amy gets kidnapped at the start of it by Metal Sonic, who we'll talk about in Stardust Speedway, I guess. But Collision Chaos is one of the weirdest Sonic levels for me, because I find myself asking the question of, what is Collision Chaos? I think I see lakes and maybe some foliage in the background, but it's got, neon signs everywhere and, yellow terrain, maybe?
I feel like trying to ask what a Sonic level is kind of pointless.
But I know what Palm Tree Panic is. It's a tropical island. Title's Tempest is, more flooded ruins. But,
sure.
Collision Chaos, and to a lesser extent, like Spring Yard Zone, they both just have this texture to them that doesn't quite feel like anything that exists. And I like that. I like these surreal environments in these games, and we're gonna get that's my favorite thing about Knuckles Chaotix once we get to that one.
Oh boy, yeah. So I get that much, but I feel like the levels, like in general in Sonic games, they're not designed to be real places, I guess.
Oh, certainly not. They got big loops in them.
Yeah, exactly. So, so when it comes to that, I feel like it's not really. If you're taking the time to question, well, what is this place? There's not really a point in doing that.
I know, and I agree. I just think that this is the least readable one of the series.
Well, yeah, I would definitely agree with Bruce's assessment when it comes to these classic games, because the way the zones work is you're jumping from zone to zone, right? There's no real continuity, which is interesting because I guess that does change a little bit with certain stages in 3. Now I'm thinking about it, but contrast that with like the adventure games where you're literally going around a map and you're like, okay, now I'm exploring this part. So yeah, I don't think it's just next colorful Wonderland.
Basically.
No, Collision Chaos is too colorful, by the way.
The atmosphere of classic Sonic is all about the vibes, and I understand that.
Oh, it's a very vibe-heavy game, and I can totally appreciate that.
Yeah. Which is ironic, because other than the music, I don't get that many vibes from Tidal Tempest. It's kind of bland. It's not terrifying as a water stage, but it's, not all that...
I have to rewind for a second.
Oh, sorry, you still got something to say?
The worst boss in the game.
Oh, right, the pinball boss. I completely forgot.
God, the pinball boss.
I could never forget that boss.
Yeah, fair.
It is... The challenge of both of the first two bosses is you hit them once and then they basically crumble under you. But in the case of the pinball boss, it's a crapshoot whether you can actually hit that boss, the moment you get in or like 7 minutes into fighting him.
Yeah.
I swear I almost timed out the first time I fought him.
Yeah, you get bounced around all over the place.
It's Collision Chaos, all right.
Yeah, colliding with the terrain.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the name is at least accurate.
Yeah. Well, and it's also funny because the collision data in the original PC and Mega CD version of the game was totally borked. So you would sometimes try to run on slopes and just like fall out of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've heard the original Sega CD version is kind of, I don't know what the right word is. It's kind of a mess sometimes.
There's no real reason to go back to it with the remaster in there. The only thing that I would say is some of the FMVs in the Mega CD version, they've redrawn them with sort of a pixel art flair, and I do like the way a couple of them look.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, the pinball boss sucks. You have to basically shoot yourself right up the middle and hit him, but it's not precise.
Right.
It was Pinball Party all over again, except I suspect less functional.
I don't know what we're going to do for that, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat that game. Well,
but yeah,
more save states, I guess.
That'll even help.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter that we went backwards from Tidal Tempest to get here, because I didn't have anything to say about Tidal Tempest. I wrote that it's not that bad as a water level, but then the next thing I write is just about the boss.
I have a few things to say about it before the boss. I do have things to talk about the boss, but I like Tidal Tempest. It feels chill and calm, especially helped by the U.S. present theme. I don't know. It's not a stressful water level at all, and the different coloration they have for underwater Sonic, I don't know. It just looks pleasing, man.
Yeah, it looks very clean water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, clean. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good way to describe it.
It almost has like this like hotel pool cleanness to it, or like perfect hotel pool. I mean, not sketchy hotel pool.
I know. I'm just imagining like, hey, Sonic, I chlorinated the water in this cave. What are you going to do about it?
Oh no, Robotnik! How dare
you? Devin, you mentioned to me that you thought I'd enjoy CD, like almost not exclusively, but very much based off of the aesthetics, because me and Vaporwave, and this was probably the first level to give me Vaporwave vibes.
Yes. I love the music.
This isn't related to the calmness, but I massively approve of when you spring out of the water, it rockets you out.
Yeah.
Mm.
That just feels good in Sonic games, is going on springs underwater and launching out of the water and how high it sends you.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like about to drown, because it's like, yes, I will live!
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
game uses mostly the same sprites from Sonic 1, but it has a few weird oddities, like Sonic's sprite in Sonic 1 bounces slightly as he runs, whereas in this game he just doesn't, he's just flat on the ground, which looks a little bit, like, lamer. But it also has added things where, like, you go on a spring and Sonic, like, spins in the air.
Hmm.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know, and we got the super peel out, obviously, which it's the first instance of Sonic doing the arms behind him run.
Right. I gotta say I like the peel out. It's an interesting way of I guess I feel like it was added in before they added in the spin dash. Because of that, it feels like something very much made for CD.
No, yes, and I agree that it I don't know if it predates the Spin Dash necessarily, but it's certainly useful for CD because the original release of CD didn't have the standard Sonic 2 style Spin Dash. It had this other kind where you have to hold it down and charge it up, and it was really, really slow and cumbersome and bad, and so the peel out was a great alternative to it.
Interesting, okay.
This is again not related, so perhaps an appropriate time, but this is more a personal thing. When I went back in time in Tidal Tempest, I went back in time in my memories as the music is the same music that is used in Sonic Chronicles from Metropolis Ground Zero.
Really?
CD's music is divided between music, in my mind, that is just not used in Sonic Chronicles. It is used in Sonic Chronicles. It always sticks out like a sore thumb.
You're talking
This is the
Tidal
first
Tempest
thing.
Past.
Yeah, the Tidal Tempest Past music.
Huh. I didn't know that.
CD music and 3D Blast, I think. Those are the two games that were used as Chronicles, the overworld tracks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Not that I'm listening to Chronicles soundtrack a lot. We're gonna have arguments when we get to that game. We're not gonna have them tonight.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of Tidal Tempest, the Bubble Mobile as the boss is kind of herky jerk because you have to you have to eat all of the bubbles off of it, which means that air is never going to be a problem. But the way that it dips down while shooting in 4 different directions that are all diagonal makes it like a pain to dodge. And so when I first played this game, I guess, okay, well, my history with this game is that I had the PC version as a kid, but I couldn't get it to run without completely changing a whole bunch of my PC settings every single time that I wanted to, and I couldn't change them back automatically. And so I only played it like once, maybe. But then I played it for real for the first time on my phone when it came out on that. But it took me a long time to beat this boss back in middle school or whenever that came out. Because I would always hit a bubble and then it would knock me into one of the shots and I would die.
Ooh.
Huh.
Interesting.
And of course now it's just, I stand on the ground when he's going to shoot, and...
Right.
Yeah. Never had a problem with this boss. I really like this boss. It feels like a ROM hack boss that's using the mechanics in a way that weren't intended by the developers, but these are the developers using it. I'm talking specifically about the fact that, okay, Robotnik is clearly shielding himself with the bubbles. That makes no logical sense, but it does make sense in the game mechanics because as soon as you touch a bubble, you uncurl, and so you can't hit him. Right. And I think that's really interesting.
That's an astute observation. Comparing it to a ROM hack, that makes sense in a way that I didn't expect.
Yeah, so I like the boss for that.
I'm thinking about how I was going back through old playthroughs of ROM hacks that I would sometimes watch on YouTube. This is the second time I'm bringing this up in this series now, but and I remember seeing bosses that are like, retooled thwomps in Mario World, or, that throw out bombs, and you have to, use them in a certain way that is never like the actual Mario World bosses. And you are right, it is similar in that way. And appropriately, it could also be that, they just tied it to an enemy because he dies in one hit once you actually scrape the bubbles away.
Which is understandable, considering at that point you're screwed if you drown.
Oh, yeah, that probably is also something they thought about. Yeah, if you had to scrape the bubbles away and then also hit him 8 times, that would be a nightmare.
That would be terrible. So yeah, it makes sense. None of the bosses, do they have 8 hits?
No, none
In
of
this
them
game?
do.
No, so that wouldn't make any sense in the context
Or,
of this
actually,
game,
I don't
but-
know if the final boss... No, the final boss doesn't. Never mind. Quartz Quadrant. It's got pianos in its music. And it's got
Yeah.
conveyor belts.
I forgot to mention, but since you just said it, all the zones are alliterations in the names.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I think they should do that more often in Sonic games. That's why this, podcast is titled an alliteration, is because of this game.
Very nice. I have nothing else to say about Quartz Quadrant.
I honestly kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, I like I love the music in this zone, but that goes, that's taken for granted. The Good Future is one of the most vibes thing I've ever heard in my life. But the level design is at its most unchallenging in this level, probably, because this is stage 4, and you can just run along the bottom.
Yeah, you might get slowed down a little bit by the conveyors, but it's not going to stop you.
Yeah, because it's like in Palm Tree Panic, yes, you could run along the bottom, but it was a little, I think it was a little more, hilly at least. And then in Collision Chaos, you would get bounced around if you ran around the bottom. And in Tidal Tempest, of course, there's water. This just has, conveyor belts, which is like, you can even switch the directions so they make you go faster instead of slower.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Speaking of running along the bottom.
Oh, the boss is one of the only challenging ones, I think. I mean, I don't know if you count the pinball boss as challenging. It's more just like kind of bullshit.
It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
You have to just run along a conveyor as it scrapes off the bottom of the chamber Eggman's hiding in.
Right. I kind of like it concept wise.
I like it in concept. I like it in execution. I think it's
not bad in execution, to be honest. I think again, I'm not a big fan of bosses where you don't really fight the boss directly.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a couple times now.
Okay, that's fair.
Because to me at least, a boss is supposed to be a challenge, or not a challenge, but like a test,
a target. At least.
Yeah, and when the boss is the game's like, no, you don't get to fight this boss.
Yeah,
you just have to do something. Exactly. We're just gonna make sure you can survive some stupid BS.
Yeah, and I will say that's the thing that does annoy me with this boss, is that you have to be good at understanding Sonic's momentum and how he speeds up and slows down, since the conveyor speeds up and slows down with you. And it sometimes is the case that you will slow down maybe too fast so that you hit the spikes in the back, or you will slow down not so fast, and the big arm will try and drop the exploding spike ball on you, and it'll explode when it hits the ground once you've sped up a certain amount, but it'll just barely clip you with one of the little shards of it that explodes, and it doesn't look like it's going to, but it hits you anyway. And when you get hit on this boss, like, you feel like it's the Jenga tower coming down. You panic, even if you can get your rings back and recover, because there's always going to be that little interval of time before it drops the next one.
It's possible that Scrap Brain, with its stupid slicers above the conveyors, trained me really well or something, but I didn't really ever have a problem with this boss. I kind of just thought it was hilarious.
With it.
I don't think I had much of a problem with it.
No, I like the premise of the boss, because it's cartoon antics in the game.
Right.
Exactly.
Because Sonic running so fast on a conveyor belt that it scrapes up Robotnik's machine sitting on top of it is funny.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, though, about you don't actually get to fight it. I have a much bigger problem in that regard with the boss in 2 zones that we'll talk about.
Alright.
But here it's fine.
Eggman, if he wanted to, could just, set his little piston machine down and then just walk the other way, because Sonic can't actually break through it on his own.
Sure he can.
Sonic would just be trapped with a conveyor belt forever.
Well, that's the way I've come to accept, and you have to accept Sonic the Hedgehog bosses. There's so many with very questionable designs. So to bring that up here is like, yeah, you're right. I could say that about a lot of bosses.
No, I am being facetious. I'm doing like a little Cinema Sins nitpick. I got you. Let's see what comes after. Oh yeah, Wacky Workbench. This place sucks. I hate it.
Yeah.
I love it, probably for the reason you hate it.
Because you get bounced around everywhere.
That's just awesome. It lives up to the name, and like when I first played this, I'm like, okay, and then just boing. I'm like, what? What is going on? But honestly, it's amazing, man. You know, it doesn't exactly fit as a Sonic Zone, but at this point in the game, I'm like, it's just a straight haul. This isn't a straight haul. This is up and down all around.
Well, it's a straight haul, but it, slams you into the ceiling if you try to walk down it.
Sure. But I don't know. I would never have thought of a gimmick like that. It's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's, it can be fun in ways, if you manage to land with enough momentum and then get bounced and it's not, you immediately run into a wall after you get bounced, that is thrilling. I do like that part.
Oh, sure.
But for basic navigation and exploration, it's annoying, and it's especially annoying if you're like me, who is going after the generators and keeps getting bounced when he's trying to get to one of them.
Yeah, well, getting the generator in any level is terrible. I'm not going to blame the gimmick because it's always bad for one reason or another.
Yes, but it's especially bad here, and that's probably why in the first act of Wacky Workbench, there's a generator that you have to get to, but it's just in a totally secluded room that you have to go through a zoom tube to by standing in a machine that looks like it's going to crush you, but it doesn't. Which I never figured out for the longest time, which is why it took me so long to beat this game the normal way, before I do now.
See, and I used a guide from the start, knowing it would be terrible to do it without one, so... Yeah, you're right. That's a really weird choice, but I didn't think
And the second act, they just put the generator, right at the start. You can just jump up and get it easily.
Yeah,
music still slaps, though.
Yeah, like pretty much all the music.
I like the, I don't know if it's like a harmonica in the past version, but it sounds funny. I would listen to this soundtrack in the car sometimes when I would pick my sister up from work, and she would always laugh very hard if Wacky Workbench Past came up. I guess I do like how the bouncing is incorporated into the boss, at least.
I like this boss. I can say it with most bosses, but I like this boss, yeah.
You have to stand on the rubble and get bounced up, and I like that because you make it way more, whichever piece you're standing on gets bounced slightly lower, so you have to do a little bit of platforming to actually get up to each successive level.
Yeah, that's great. It's got a light getting over it problem, though, if you fall down. Other than that, though, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, you fall down to the bottom and you just hear Bennett Foddy saying, some motivational speech to you.
Right.
I will say, it's another questionable, what is Robotnik doing? Because, on the Quartz Quadrant machine, I at least understand he's trying to kill Sonic by having him on a conveyor belt with spikes and spike balls. But in this, he gets in a big, rocket ship and then just flies into the ceiling.
He's trying to, rain rubble on you or something by
I guess
drilling, right? I
suppose that's as good as an explanation as I can figure out. I don't know if he was trying to actually fight Sonic is the thing. I guess every other boss he is, so we'll go with yours.
Okay.
Stardust Speedway is kind of a mess.
Interesting, yeah.
It is full of curves and terrain that you have to flip a panel to walk behind, and speed boosters that send you in directions you don't want to go, and it looks like it's made out of trumpets.
I agree with all of that, but I really enjoyed Stardust Speedway.
No, it looks great, and it is fun and fast.
I think part of it might have again been the vibes, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Maybe just also because it looks weird.
It's got that very 90s sort of on-the-street feel to it, which is
yeah.
Cool.
See, when I play Stardust Speedway in CD, I'm I feel like I'm playing a bad ROM hack using this tile set. I should play the real release that uses this tile set on Sonic Mania.
Yeah, the Mania version is a lot better. I like the Roman architecture that the past version has. Not sure how that makes any sense, but
it's
I like the guy in the background of the music going.
Yes. But Stardust Speedway just sped right on by, didn't it?
Yeah, it's, again, they don't have especially deep designs.
No,
but of
a
course,
lot of them are just hold right and jump.
yeah.
Yep.
And I suppose as long as the game is not, unfun to play, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but again, it does make it very short.
Right.
Finding the Act 2 generator is a pain in the ass in this level, but you guys didn't do it, so I guess there's not a lot I can say about it.
Been too long to comment on that. All of them were pain. I can't remember any in particular.
Well, there's one thing that is recent with this stage that we can talk about, and that's the boss fight, or should I say the race.
Yes.
We got Metal Sonic in this third act, and it is there's one neat thing, which is that even if you get the good future, it still plays the bad future track once you're racing Metal Sonic, because it wants it to be that intense.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
And it's a little bit annoying, because you have to make sure that you're either jumping up or speeding up slopes properly, because if you don't, Eggman's laser will kill you.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, we're going back on, like, why doesn't Eggman just do this? Why doesn't Eggman just use that laser and kill you some other time? But, and so I shouldn't be complaining about that. But here, I guess the thing is that you can't attack Eggman, so it's like, oi, man, you're supposed to give me an opening, and he's not giving me an opening. I just have to do this other thing here. It's like, I feel like a rat in a maze, you know?
Yeah.
It feels wrong for some reason.
Yeah, and especially since actually going fast is not the answer. Because if you go fast, Metal Sonic can go faster than you. Like, he can use his speed up move to close the gap, and it is faster than you can, well, maybe not faster than you can ever run in this game, but faster than you can run in the boss fight. And so you have to stay behind him at certain points, or at least close to him, so that he'll do the slow move so that you can get past him, otherwise he'll get in front of you.
Oh, yeah, I can't say I really understood how this boss worked. I just did it until I won, but that's interesting.
Although I at least think that Eggman slowly moving with a big laser, that's like the right way to do a quote-unquote auto-scroller level in Sonic, is the only part of the level that's scrolling is the part that you have to run past.
Right.
Yeah, because then you can still basically do it freely as long as you're not falling too far behind. That's true. I will say, even though I find this boss annoying overall, Metal Sonic's attitude is great. I'm like furious, but I'm also kind of laughing when he just wags his finger when you lose.
Yeah, he's trying to be Sonic.
Yeah.
And I do miss that, is that Metal Sonic has that sort of little playful evilness to him. He has it in this game, he has it in the 1999 OVA movie, but then he doesn't have that in the modern series. In the modern series, Metal Sonic is a being of pure rage.
Yeah.
And I find that endearing in its own way, but it's like, I like that he can have a little bit of emotions.
Well, the being of pure rage, he almost feels like a child. Like
Well, he's certainly whiny in Sonic Heroes.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, that's exciting.
We'll get to it. That's the only game where he gets to talk, so that's why I'm talking about him here, is because Metal Sonic is a character whose personality you can discuss as early as his first game, because he hardly ever speaks.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but I do like him.
It's kind of funny that after you beat this boss, Amy can just sort of struggle, and you can just kind of sit there and do nothing.
You can just stare at her while she's tied up.
Yeah, kind of strange.
Sonic, I get kind of tired up here. Can you give me some help? Nope. Nuh-uh.
Nah, I enjoy watching this.
There are some people who are really weird about the amount that they hate Amy. I don't know if it's a shipping wars thing or just they find her annoying thing.
I don't know. There's nothing wrong with her in this game, in my opinion.
Well, no, she doesn't talk, so.
Well, and even some of the games where she talks, she's fine. But
right.
We'll get to it when we get to it. Yeah, I think that's mostly it for Stardust Speedway. I love the Bad Future track. It's obviously iconic, and they reuse it for Metal Sonic almost every time he appears now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the surprising things about Sonic Forces, is that they did use the Bad Future Stardust Speedway track, but they used the American version.
I didn't know that. That's actually kind of clever.
Alright then, Metallic Madness, final stage of the game, and maddening indeed. It's pretty tough. It's legitimately harder than the other stages.
I reiterate my phrase about Stardust Speedway and Mania. again, but for Metallic Madness.
Yes, but I feel that Metallic Madness is less confusingly laid out. It just throws more stuff at you.
Although that's probably still too harsh. I was actually impressed when I did the casual playthrough, and you could just run in a straight line. Act 2 of Metallic Madness, that doesn't actually work. I was like, whoa, I'm actually having to think about how I'm moving and not just hold right and win.
Yeah, it is the most Sonic 1 feeling stage out of the bunch. You have a lot of traps to counter.
The small zones are cute and neat.
I do like those, and they're even cuter if you do a Tails playthrough. I love his little sprites for those. I don't like that one of them, you get shrunken down, and as you're going through that section, you get to the very end of it, and there is one way where there's just, one of those airlock doors that just sends you back for no reason, and every playthrough I do of this game, at least once, I go that way to the right, because the door opens, and I think, oh, that's the way I'm supposed to go. No, it's not! It just sets you back. There's no point to it other than that, and I fall for it.
I saw that door, and I was like, that door is evil. But I take it slow enough that I never fall for it.
You would not kick the football, in Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
I like the jazz solo in the present tracks, and I like that they made it into a saxophone solo in Mania. Oh, in my notes here, I've written Metallic Madness Past and Metallic Madness Good Future are the ultimate Bruce vaporwave aesthetic, cyan, orange, and purple.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sure, it's a shame. I think I saw Bad Future for majority of the two.
Hey, you like brown? There's a lot of brown Bad Futures.
Yeah, it felt like I was staring at a 90s computer. I guess that's more beige, but whatever, I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, but at least that you could get the Netscape Explorer star screensaver.
Fair.
Well, and that is the thing, is that if you're in any playthrough that you do of the game, you're not going to hear much of the future tracks, or see much of the future aesthetic, because, they don't last very long in the Act 3 stages, because they're, just short little runs to the boss. And, even if you do, if you do the generators like me, that doesn't mean you actually go into the future at any point, except for the bosses. So either you do the good ending and you hear these tracks, or you don't, or rather, you don't hear the tracks either way. You basically have to listen to the OST.
Right.
Yep. Kind of like what I said earlier. The features are just really underutilized. It's interesting you brought that point up about the third act. I meant to say that at one point, so let's say it now. It is interesting that they added just a short little bit before the boss, maybe just to try to get the vibe of the area first, because you probably, I guess maybe they knew that you wouldn't go to the future very much, which is weird because it's not very long at all, and I'm not sure why they even put that there.
It does make me wonder if maybe, they intended it to be a full third act like in Sonic 1, but either they ran out of time or something else limited them. Because if it were a full third act, that would make perfect sense.
Yeah, it would.
But speaking of Act 3s, the one from Metallic Madness is... Hoo boy.
Oh, yes. That pit was way more dangerous than the boss.
Well, it's not just that it's a pit, it's that it's a pit that is, surrounded by bumpers and platforms that flip over and make you fall through them, and to get across it, you have to get under a crusher that is very slow, meaning you have to time things well. Yes.
Those flipping platforms, ever since Scrap Brain, I will always haunt me. So yes, they're terrible.
Yeah, and I guess the Act 3 for Metallic Madness is the longest one, because you also have, you have to go past one of those flying spike walls, which are really weird.
Yeah, they are.
But then you also have to do this little teeny tiny enemy gauntlet, where you have to fight these light bugs that shoot lasers at the ground, and that only are only damageable when they're shooting, which always feels clumsy. It feels like even when I don't get hit by them, I'm going to get hit by them as I try to hit them.
Yeah, those enemies... Well, first of all, I'm like, Can you explain to me what they're doing? Because why can't I hit them here? Like, it's a video game, man, sure. But usually I can kind of wrap my head around what's going on, but I'm just like, no, they're just invincible, and except during a very, very small amount of time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that, of course, is followed by the final boss, which doesn't feel very final.
Really doesn't.
He's annoying. I don't know. This is something that I'm thinking is probably a me problem. I don't know how to hit this guy the first hit without getting damaged myself. I always just tank through it.
No,
Yeah.
you're not alone. I do the same thing every time.
Well, because as far as I can tell, there's no way to do it.
I mean, you
The
can be
only
pretty
thing I can
precise,
think of is maybe when he does the pushing out the pistons to try and hit you, but I don't even know if he does that when he has all 4 of them.
Yeah, this boss, my biggest problem with it is that unlike all the other bosses in the game, when we think about this, I think that's true. There's a lot of time where you just have to wait and you can't do anything to the boss. He's just kind of going to the top, like finding the right moment to strike, which now that I put it that way, it could be pretty menacing, but the boss design is not menacing at all.
No.
It looks ridiculous.
It really does.
Well, and it makes a lot more sense with the context that this was not meant to be the final boss.
Oh.
There was meant to be another boss after this called, I think it's called Final Fury, and I think I'm remembering this correctly. They cut that boss for time, and then when the 2011 Christian Whitehead remaster was being made, they worked on their own version of the final boss, and then that also got cut for time.
Interesting, okay.
But you would have fought this Metallic Madness boss with just the normal boss music and not the Libera Me from Hell opera singer.
Right.
Which I actually like that track, but
I love that track.
Both the boss theme and Libera Me from Hell, frankly.
But yeah, it's very, very unfitting. And whenever the boss actually is kind of fun in the way it's different attacks do different things.
It's not an awful boss fight.
Why can't I jump on those whatever they are? They look like the platforms.
When he throws them down, it looks like you should be able to stand on them and jump up and hit them, but you can't.
That would be so cool.
That's another mistake that I make once a playthrough, even though I know that you can't do that.
It just feels like you should.
Yeah. I will say, I suppose this boss might feel more threatening if I had played with the US soundtrack, because the boss music in the American version is terrifying.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's just discordant and has a lot of distorted Eggman laughing in it.
Oh.
And I got freaked out and legitimately had nightmares as a kid because I learned about the secret message screen in this game of the weird Sonic with human faces and mustaches.
Yeah, it's Sonic Mario.
Fun is infinite, Majin, or something like that.
Majin.
Right.
I think it's Majin. I know that it doesn't mean Majin as in demon, because it's actually a nickname for the guy who drew it, who I think was...
It's Masato Nishi something, I think.
That is... I'll believe you just based on I didn't expect you to pull any name out of your hat.
No, so I only say that, I only know that because I was literally just looking at that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, there's a couple secret images. There's the rapper Sonic...
Right.
There's the Batman Sonic.
Masato Nishimura.
Okay. And then there's the Tails holding glasses and a car.
Yeah, I posted this in general. That's an actual car. That's a Lotus 7.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that.
I guess Tails just likes his 50s supercars.
I suppose.
or sports cars.
Because I know
guess.
what Tails and See You Next Game means, because this was developed, again, concurrently with Sonic 2, so that was a Sonic 2 preview, despite this game coming out after it.
Right.
But in any case, yeah, the American boss music freaked me out, and so did that screen.
Interesting.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, honestly.
Anyway, after you defeat the final boss, we get the animated ending cutscene, which is also cool. We get a whole bunch of footage of Sonic just messing with the various badniks of the stages, which I love.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And we get a song called Cosmic Eternity, Believe in Yourself. And it is very funny because I went years without ever hearing this song and not knowing that the teleportation yeah clip from the level clear theme is from this song. And I didn't know this song really existed. And
so that was my experience as well until, what was it, 2 days ago, when you said, oh yeah, there's this extra credit scene. I'm like, say what? And I listened to it, like, huh, what is this?
Well, and that was part of the weird thing for me, is that when I would beat this game, on my phone back in middle school, that version didn't have the lyrics in Cosmic Eternity. The remaster removed them because the vocal artist died, I believe, and they just couldn't get the estate to sign off.
Yeah, that figures.
But even then, I didn't hear that version very much, because for some reason, every time I would beat this game back on my phone, I would have it set on the American OST. Like, I would change it just as I did a casual playthrough, but somehow it always ended up on the American one on Metallic Madness 3. But in any case, the other ending song for the US version, of course, is the slower-paced version of Sonic Boom, which I actually love that version. I think it's really chill.
It's nice.
I guess technically this game started the trend of silent Sonic FMVs playing during the credits of games, which they would continue on with, pretty much every game since Adventure 2.
Interesting.
I like the animation of Sonic versus Metal Sonic in the credits, because it shows Stardust Speedway present, which is wrong because you can't fight bosses in the present version.
Oh yeah.
The bad end, I'm like, what's going on there? My brain thinks, because you beat Eggman and it's great and it's good, and then suddenly the planet reappears. My brain thinks, did Eggman just like turn back time? No, you didn't beat me, Sonic.
Well, he does. He does laugh holding the time stone in that bit.
I guess that's what's going on, and that's so unsatisfying.
Yeah, well, and it makes it doubly weird when Sonic he gives up in that cutscene because he just throws a rock at Eggman and he explodes.
I like the Eggman explosion.
No, I like that too. Anytime a character can explode into an iconographic representation of their own stupid face, I'm happy. Bowser does it, Eggman does it, it's great.
Yeah.
Maybe Team Rocket does it. My question is, how the heck does Amy get to Little Planet? Does she climb up the chain at the start? Because Sonic sets her down afterwards, so she's not from Little Planet.
I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's some questions better left unanswered, I guess.
Oh yeah, we're gonna learn the dark past of Amy Rose. She was from Little Planet, but her entire clan was murdered.
Oh, okay. Well, wasn't the idea that Amy followed Sonic there? I think that was it. I'm trying to think.
Probably.
So yeah, she probably climbed the chain. That's dedication.
Maybe she'll just do a Rise of Skywalker and jump on the chain and then say "ow," and then she has no lines for the rest of the movie.
Oh, okay. Now I got what you were doing.
Okay. I don't know. It feels like I'm missing something, but CD is never as big a game as it feels like you think it's gonna be.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, it's honestly it's very ambitious and it's incredible what they managed to achieve. The soundtrack is just so expansive because there's 4 different versions, plus if you factor in the 2 different region soundtracks too on top of that.
Yeah.
For the different. It's just crazy, man, and all
that's something that I would like to see if like there are fan Sonic music. Well, obviously there are fan Sonic musicians, but I would like to see someone take a crack at combining the U.S. and Japanese versions of every song into a single remix.
That would be whack.
It would be difficult, given I know that they're in pretty vastly different keys most of the time, but it would be fun to see someone take a crack at it in any case. Alright, well, versions, that's something at least.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I can say, obviously for most of our viewers, it's not going to be a big deal in terms of, oh no, I accidentally bought the 1993 PC release of this game. No, everybody's got Steam. I recommend, getting the Steam version, getting the mod loader, and getting the time travel overhaul mod, and then doing generators, because, maybe look up a walkthrough like Lauren said he had to, because some of them are a pain in the ass, but I think that is the most enjoyment you're going to get out of this game. Maybe try some of the mods that let you play as, like, Knuckles or Amy or Metal Sonic.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the generators are the way to go. I think I mentioned it before we started recording, but when I originally played this game, I played the Steam release and 100%ed it as far as the achievements are concerned, and it was a blast. I was like, this is a solid Sonic game. I experienced, all the different zones and all that. And then when I played it this time, I just ran through, and it was just like, yeah, it's whatever, man. It's kind of there and gone. So definitely go for the generators.
Yeah, maybe if I play through the game again, I'll go for the generators.
You can use Tails that way as well.
Yeah, I can play as Tail.
I get it's fun that they added Tails. That's great, but so broken.
Oh, he snaps this game like a twig.
Well, because it's obvious the levels aren't designed around the ability to fly.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they're also not designed around playing as Knuckles. And it was fun, but his lower jump makes the game almost unbeatable in certain cases.
Interesting.
Especially the Metal Sonic fight, where you have to be able to jump up those slopes, but he can't.
Oh dear.
But that's neither here or there, because technically we shouldn't be introduced to Knuckles until next week.
That's true.
That's right, yeah.
Next week we are going to be talking about Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the 2D Sonic game that every Sonic fan talks about. But there's a reason they talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, with all that in mind, thank you guys so much for being here with me and playing these games. Thank you to our listeners, as always, for sticking around and hearing our potentially weird takes at times. And I will see you guys next week.